Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something absolutely massive, a brand new government initiative aimed at completely modernizing Indonesia's coastal economy. It's called the Red and White Fishing Village Program. We're talking about a hugely ambitious, multi-billion rupiah effort designed to transform the lives of the millions of fishermen who literally put the seafood on our tables. But, as you know, with any giant national mega project, the reality on the ground is usually a lot more complicated than the shiny blueprints. Let's dive right in.
Here is the roadmap for today. We'll be looking at the coastal economy paradox, the vision of red and white, the success at Samber-Binieri, nationwide expansion and targets, structural and administrative hurdles, and finally, who truly holds control.
All right, Section 1, the coastal economy paradox.
Let's start by establishing a pretty shocking baseline truth. Picture this. Indonesia has a coastline stretching over 81,000 kilometers. It is literally one of the biggest archipelagos on Earth. And the people living on these shores? They're absolutely crucial. They're supplying more than half of the country's daily animal protein. We are talking about the literal backbone of the entire nation's food supply.
But here is the paradox. Despite all that incredible natural wealth, this metric called the fisherman's exchange rate was stubbornly stuck at just 101.76 in 2024. Now, what does that actually mean for the people on the boats? Think of it as a basic economic health check. A score hovering right around 100 basically means that a fisherman's income is almost completely wiped out by their basic survival and operational costs. There is virtually zero room for savings or moving up the economic ladder.
Which brings us to Section 2, Vision of Red and White.
To tackle this deeply rooted issue, the government rolled out the Kampung Nelayan Merah Putih, or the KNMP. It's this massive priority program aimed at fundamentally transforming traditional, kind of isolated coastal settlements into ultra-modern, highly productive fisheries hubs through heavy state-funded infrastructure.
And we're talking about a complete physical overhaul from the ground up here. Imagine going from basic wooden docks to state-of-the-art cold storage, massive ice factories to keep the catch perfectly fresh, modern moorings, boat repair workshops, culinary centers to pull in local tourism, and dedicated fuel stations right there on the water. It's precisely the kind of hardware they need to thrive.
And you know, this isn't happening in a vacuum. This local push is hooked directly into Indonesia's broader macroeconomic goals, specifically aligning with the national 8+4+5 priority programs. The big picture? Leverage these coastal investments to help drive the whole country toward a super ambitious 5.11% national economic growth rate.
Moving to Section 3, Success at Samber-Binieri. To see what this actually looks like when it works, we have to look at the pilot project in Samber-Binieri, Papua. The government dropped 22.1 billion rupiah here, and the before and after is honestly wild. Before the intervention, it was an isolated village where fishermen pulled in maybe 3 million rupiah a month, well below the regional minimum wage. But after handing these sleek new facilities over to a local cooperative, boom, incomes literally doubled to 6 million rupiah a month. They even started exporting hundreds of tons of fish across the country, generating billions in revenue. It is the textbook definition of a total turnaround.
Okay, Section 4, nationwide expansion and targets.
Riding high on that incredible Papua success story, the government is hitting the gas. As of April 2026, they've completely built out 65 of these KNMP villages in Phase 1. These newly modernized hubs stretch all the way from Sumatra across to Papua.
But Phase 1 is really just the warm-up. The pipeline ahead is staggering. They are aiming for 1,100 modernized villages by 2028. And to manage all of this new infrastructure, they're looking to spin up an unbelievable 80,000 new local red and white cooperatives across the nation. If they actually pull this off, projections show it could fundamentally rewrite the economic reality for fishermen, bumping up that exchange rate we talked about earlier by 15 to 20 points.
But, and there's always a but, let's look at Section 5, Structural and Administrative Hurdles.
This is where independent analysts bring us back down to earth. Because, as it turns out, pouring concrete is a lot faster and a lot easier than building a functioning, sustainable economic ecosystem. There's a massive regulatory mismatch happening here. The infrastructure side, the KNMP, and the cooperative side, the KDMP, are running on totally separate command chains. You've got overlapping authorities and basically no structural coordination linking the physical assets to the actual business plans. So on the ground, this creates a ton of confusion. Once the ribbon is cut, who actually manages that multi-million rupiah cold storage facility? Who sets the tariffs for the ice? And here's the biggest red flag. If a hastily formed, totally inexperienced local cooperative goes bankrupt, who is on the hook for those massive state assets left behind? Observers are warning this is basically a recipe for conflict.
And the administrative hurdles get even more basic than that. A recent survey showed that almost 70% of traditional fishermen don't even have a standard basic fisherman's ID card. We're still an astonishing 87% lack formal registration for their small boats. Now, why is that such a big deal? Because without that exact piece of paper, you are legally locked out of accessing government-subsidized fuel, and fuel makes up 70% of a fisherman's daily operational costs. You can literally build a gorgeous, state-of-the-art fuel station right on their dock, but without the paperwork sorted out, it's completely useless to the very people it was built to help.
Which leads us to our final part, Section 6. Who truly holds control? This is the million-dollar question we really have to ask. Who is actually winning here in the long run? Are the fishermen truly taking the wheel of their local economy, or is the state simply expanding its portfolio of huge construction projects and tightening its bureaucratic grip?
Independent observers hit the nail on the head with this exact quote. Infrastructure is built faster than its economic ecosystem. Fishermen receive facilities, but not automatically control. Critics are really worried about repeating the ghost town development mistakes of the past, where the state acts as this permanent, top-down operator instead of genuinely empowering the community to run their own show.
So, what is the fix? For these multi-billion rupiah investments to actually stick and be a lasting success, experts say the state has to step back. They need to transition from being the star operator to acting as a referee. Fishermen need real seats at the table for business planning, the funding schemes have to actually talk to each other, and these local co-ops need serious management training before anyone hands them the keys to industrial-grade assets.
And that leaves us with one incredibly provocative thought to chew on. As these ultra-modern fishing hubs pop up all across Indonesia, will the local fishermen truly take ownership of their own economic destiny? Or are they just going to remain background extras in a massive top-down state development project? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next one.